we got to take a breath before
So the
we
next
talk
one
about
isn't
this.
going to be that. The next one's going to be
A master.
not just a short.
No, not just a short. This next segment is almost like the whole film to me. Just
Yeah.
despite like everything, all the praise we just heaped for the last segment, the majority of the runtime is this one segment, Safe Haven.
It has the longest runtime, right?
It has the longest runtime out of the four, and for very good reason. Before we talk about this, God, where do I even begin? I don't want to stall it for too long because we have to talk about how sick this shit is. I believe this to be, yeah. Let's just get into this. The next segment is Safe Haven, and it's directed by Gareth Evans and Timo Tjahjanto. I'm so giddy. I'm like smiling.
Yeah.
Because, Zach, we get to talk about it.
I know.
Like, when I was making this show, when I was thinking about doing this show, I was always like, oh man, when we get to talk about Safe Haven,
I know, this is the one that I was also
it's gonna rule. And
it's so funny now that you say that. That is exactly why when you pitched the podcast, I was like, "Oh, we get to talk about Safe." That was basically.
So yeah, that's what this segment means to us. I love this so much. I constantly revisit it. Dude, there was one night recently, I was hanging out with a mutual friend of ours, and we watched some movie. I can't remember what movie it was, but after the movie, I was just like, hey, you know what I feel like watching right now? And I fast forwarded to this segment, and we just watched it, and we're like,
they've seen it before?
Yeah, they've seen it before.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And we're just like, yeah, that hits every time.
It never gets old. It's so good.
It's so good. So here's why. Here's why we're so excited right now. First off, this is Gareth Evans and Timo Tjahjanto, co-directed. I feel confident saying that these are two of the most established filmmakers that have worked in this franchise. Definitely two of the overall best filmmakers that have worked in this franchise. The most talented. And I say that feeling like there is a huge gap between the talent level showed off in this segment with director Gareth Evans and Timo Tjahjanto and everyone else that's ever made a segment for the VHS franchise. And that's not to that's not to discount the great stuff that people have made in this franchise.
And that's, it sounds like,
but there is a level
that is an insult, but it's
not.
Only because these filmmakers are making shit that is impossible to make. Like stuff that I could never dream of being able to make.
I never thought
because
of found footage.
Challenge.
For most filmmakers, found footage is a challenge to them, and it feels like for Gareth Evans and Timo Tjahjanto, it's just a fucking like a playground.
Fucking game.
It's a fucking game. If you're not familiar with Gareth Evans and Timo Tjahjanto, and for the love of God, I hope I'm saying Timo's name right. It's not the easiest. I will correct myself, and I will take flack from anyone that says it's nowhere close to being correct. I will happily take flack from people, but that's just how I read it.
Myself, yeah. So Tjahjanto, but I think
Tjahjanto, maybe, yeah. Maybe you don't pronounce that J. Whatever. But yeah, were you familiar with Gareth Evans when? Because I don't think people are really familiar with Timo Tjahjanto.
I wasn't familiar with either of these two.
You weren't familiar when either of the films came out, because if you don't know, Gareth Evans made The Raid, and if you've never seen The Raid,
you know what?
I believe it.
I had heard of The Raid.
I've heard of The Raid too. I didn't see The Raid. Yeah, I didn't see The Raid until after I saw this segment, but I knew of the name. And I remember like the first time I watched it and I saw like Safe Haven in the credits, like Safe Haven directed by Gareth Evans. I was like, oh, I am familiar with that. I know that he made The Raid, and I have to see The Raid. But yeah, if you haven't seen The Raid, in my opinion, that's the best action film ever made. And I'm including the second one in the conversation as well. They're some of my favorite movies ever. They're the best. They're the best. Insanely inventive action martial arts films that I've been obsessed with for years. Timo Tjahjanto has also had his share of great films as well. I mean, The Night Comes for Us, I feel like is on the same level. It's not in like my favorite action films ever, but like I constantly think about that film.
It's also working on a level of just like insanity from like a craft perspective that is
1,000%, yeah,
ridiculous to even contemplate.
And they just, both of them are perfect because The Night Comes for Us and The Raid both perfectly preserve this stylistic clash of action and horror. A lot of people call The Raid a survival horror movie. And
that's funny. That's actually, I didn't think about that, but that is something that The Raid shares with this movie. It is another like movie about being contained in a space and just trying to survive.
Yeah. Safe Haven is pure survival horror action. More on the horror, less on the action, but like just the way this movie, like people move and like just the absolute unimaginable levels of gas this thing has when it ramps up is impeccable. It's unbelievable. There has never been, I feel like we've seen a lot of found footage movies, and I feel like not a lot of them have ever matched the energy that this individual segment of this movie has.
Yeah, I mean, tons of movies can't match the energy that
without the found footage technique. It just can't match
I'm trying to think. Maybe
besides The Raid, which they made.
The Raid, weirdly, I think, one of my favorite movies, Attack the Block, maybe has a similar sort of pace and actually kind of setting to The Raid. Yeah, I mean, he did actually go on to make another horror film,
Apostle. Apostle I love because Apostle starts out as this very like also very atmospheric horror film, but then as soon as it ramps up to its climax, he reminds you of who the fuck he is, and it starts to break out into insane action, and you're like, oh yeah, he's good at this. I forgot. It's like, how could you forget? It's kind of like how did you see Mickey 17 yet?
Yes, yeah, I liked it.
In Mickey 17, there's this part where I'm not going to spoil it, but like it's sort of toward the end where there's a huge shift in tone for a moment, and it gets kind of, most of the movie is like slapstick comedy, but then there's this moment at the end where it gets to this like really ambient horror, and Bong Joon-ho reminds you that like, oh yeah, I'm good at this too, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot, you're the best, you're good at everything.
Yeah.
So
is this
it's the same kind of thing.
There's like a call being made or a sound being made?
No, it's a dream. It's the dream sequence at the end.
Oh, the dream sequence. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought that was kind of frightening with the bloody hand. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
It was like, oh yeah, you're good at everything. I forgot. Yeah, it's kind of like. Kind of the same way with Gareth Evans. And when was the last thing he made, Gareth Evans? He's making a movie soon. It was
Apostle.
That was the last movie he made. I feel like he's making a movie this year.
Apparently he has something called Havoc that's in post-production right now.
Awesome. I can't wait. He's one
of my favorites.
He's one of my favorite filmmakers. And Safe Haven came out after The Raid too. The Raid came out in 2011. So he was established before this came out, and I love that he just decided to do this, and with a directing partner as well, who wasn't as established at the time.
Yes, yeah, which is totally his MO. I mean, like, he seems to have this deep. I don't know if we mentioned this, but he's a Welsh filmmaker, but he makes like a lot of Indonesian movies.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Well, the Raid
so
and the Raid 2 are Indonesian, have a primarily Indonesian cast, and they're made in Indonesia. And yeah, and he's a Welsh filmmaker. Timo Tjahjanto is Indonesian.
Right, yes.
And he uses a lot of the same actors in his films, like Iko Uwais
he tends
and
to
Joe
work
Townsend.
with a lot of...
Yeah.
And that's even gotten to the point where, like, you know, the influences of Gareth Evans sneak into things in weird ways. Like, I remember in Star Wars, the new Star Wars movie.
Oh, in The Force Awakens.
Randomly, those guys, some of the Raid guys show up in various
some of the Raid
Star
guys,
Wars movies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Raid guy, I remember that. I remember when Star Wars The Force Awakens was coming out, and there was the whole news cycle surrounding it. I remember reading, like, some of the Raid guys were casted, and I was like, oh shit, there's going to be a sick fight scene in the movie. And then they're not. That's not what happens.
They're not. Yeah. They're barely used at all.
There's no fight scene with them. Like, it uses none of their ability at all, like what they're good at. But yeah, back to Safe Haven, because we've talked so much about, we've really gassed up these directors because, I mean, we highly respect them and they make some of our favorite shit ever, including Safe Haven, which what I believe to be the best found footage short film, like, not like one of my favorite pieces of found footage filmmaking out there, but also, like, I think one of the best horror short films of all time.
Oh yeah, easily one of the best.
So what is Safe Haven about? And by the way, Timo Tjahjanto will return, not with Gareth Evans, but he will direct a segment for VHS 94, I believe. And I can't wait for that one.
Yeah. So I'll say this tuned. Now, just so I don't forget later.
Yeah.
But there's a weird parallel that maybe only exists in my mind and is completely unintentional. Safe Haven and that later Timo short film, which is that they both feel heavily influenced by different video games.
Yeah.
The later one has some, like, heavy Doom vibes.
Yeah.
Whereas heavy. This one, it only just upon this rewatch hit me that the title of this, Safe Haven, SH, is like very, very similar to Silent Hill.
Hell yeah.
Which, because the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, well, that's just, as soon as that siren starts, I'm like, okay, this is Silent Hill.
Oh, Siren.
But
like Siren for the PS2.
Like Siren. A PS2.
Also a similar vibe.
And that could be complete accident, but also it's really, really specific, some of the visuals in this one.
There's a lot of, I know it's Indonesian, but it's also very, like, J-horror-esque.
Yes, yeah.
Especially with, like, the school children and just, like, the haunted school vibe of some of this. But, yeah, let's dive into all the things that make Safe Haven the fucking best. So Safe Haven is about this documentary crew, and they're making this documentary about this Indonesian cult. And they start out by interviewing this guy. He leads this religious group called Paradise Gates. And they start with just talking to him in this cafe where he's drinking a tall glass of milk. Zach, 2 episodes ago, in our milk and cereal review, I mentioned that crazy people drinking milk was a thing. And you were like, what are you talking about? Do you get it now?
I do. I didn't know. I forgot.
Did you?
I forgot. He has a tall glass of milk.
A tall glass of milk. Not.
That is so true. He's really drinking it.
Yeah, he just kind of, like, rubs his fingers around the rim.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sick glass.
It's a sick glass.
To drink a glass of milk out of.
It's a sick glass to drink a glass of milk out of. By the way, this guy,
so funny, you're right.
This guy is played by Epi Kuznandar, and he was in The Raid 2 in a very different role. He was like a pornographer in The Raid 2.
All right, I can buy that.
And The main guy too is also in the raid too. He was Malik Oka Antara. He was also in the raid too. So yeah, they're interviewing him. He's this like very ominous leader, and pointing out this is the first international VHS segment, which is very cool because everyone else seems to make better shit than us when you really expand your horizons. And this is a great example of that. The thing I mentioned before that Safe Haven is kind of a playground of found footage because, I mean, this being a setup for a documentary gives it a lot of opportunities to mess with all types of different like camera angles and camera setups. Later on, we see, Paradise Gates, and there's the use of security cam footage. And then there's, the main camera, and then one of the crew members has a shirt. Lena, she's played by Hannah Al-Rashid, and she's wearing this shirt, and one of the buttons is a camera. And that's kind of one of the first things we see too. One of the guys holding the main cam is zooming in on that camera, which also has a bit of a double meaning as we get later on into the film. What I love about it is it uses all of this type of camera tech to like inform some of its scares, just to create this like general tension, which is kind of what every found footage horror movie should just be, right? Like take advantage of the medium, take advantage of the technique to, create all these new kinds of scares. And this movie does that so well and does it so confidently too. There is just, I was saying before, like, when we were talking about our overall thoughts on VHS 2, there is a more confident nature to a lot of how these shorts are directed. That is the truest, I would say, when regarding Safe Haven. It is just like the most confident in it, like true of itself, well-made segment out of all of these.
There is a moment I think it's the start of the cult segment where you actually see the compound, and there's a little montage of different security cameras. And I think briefly you see like I forget the character's name, but the leader, like, he has his shirt up and he's just like messing with a box cutter.
Yeah, you see him like take out a box cutter and like lift up his shirt in the security cam when they get to so they get to Paradise Gates, and they start exploring the compound. But before the crew gets there, there's like security cam footage just like showing off the different areas of the compound. There's like a school. There's like a classroom with all these children singing. There's there's a ritual chamber just outright. There's a ritual chamber with a hospital bed. And then there's we cut to the father's room where he's sitting at his desk and he lifts up his shirt. And he takes out a box cutter, but then it cuts before we see anything.
What I like about this, and a lot of what it's both the filmmaking, and then it's also like from like a visual perspective, and then it's also the story structure, is that it's pulling double time the whole way through. Like, it's telling the story, it's getting you to understand the characters and what their deal is, what their relationship are to each other, and pushing you further into the plot. But at the same time, this is the most you understand a single space in a VHS movie. I swear. Like,
they use every part of this set, basically.
Yeah, you know what this entire place. Without having watched this movie again, I could still tell you, having watched this a couple times in the past, I could tell you what the layout of this place is generally.
Yeah, you like paint a picture in your head. You kind of get, it's like when you're playing a Dark Souls game and you like go through one area. So like when you go through Undead Burg so much that like you just know it in your head at some point.
Right, and that's super important because some of the ways later in which they communicate how fucked up the situation has become is by showing you again. Actually, that's Tactic Block. What I love about Tactic Block. showing you places that you saw when they were normal, and now they've been warped. But it would be less
Yeah,
effective
then
if
there's
it was
just
just like
like,
some room.
here's this room before carnage happens.
Right, and you know what it normally looks like. Here's the room with the children. What does the room with the children look like post
After
shit
this.
going down?
Yeah.
And you don't know that they're setting all that up with stuff like the security footage the first time you watch it, but it pays off in such a fucking awesome way.
So awesome. And I feel
Later.
like that gets to kind of just one of the advantages about found footage, at least that I find in general, is just like, yeah, getting to know a space. I feel like
Yeah.
that can be communicated through the use of found footage in very interesting ways, and we'll see that the more we go on into the catalog of found footage horror movies. But yeah, the entire compound setting of Paradise Gates is, like, to me, one of the most iconic, not just parts of the franchise, but like in found footage horror. Like, it's so unique and it's explored brilliantly. Yeah, so they wander through the compound and they get to the main entrance, and they're greeted by this woman. And this is something that I only caught on to in my recent rewatch. These effigies that they're given are almost the exact same ones that are in the Blair Witch Project. Like, they look like the
Oh, for
same
real?
type of design. They look like the same kind of design.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
I feel like that's just a wink
yeah,
and a nod. It's a good callback. Like,
for sure.
they know
Yeah,
what they're working with. They get this tour of Paradise Gates, and yeah, we see the various rooms that we'll be revisiting later. Yeah, they pass by the classroom. I love that. I love this one little moment of these. It's just these guys in suits in one room sitting at a table, and like as the crew passes by, they all stand up and look at them. The way that's like shot and blocked is almost like picture perfect. It's a type of like scene setting that these films just do not do. It's
the like VHS films.
Yeah, the VHS films, and also just like it also like they're very foreign. This is gonna sound weird. I don't know if you'll. I don't know if I'm articulating it well, but there are very like foreign blocking styles to like.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about? That's apparent to me in this scene where they're passing by and they look at them, because it's like it's such an ensemble thing, and like we don't really deal a lot in ensembles, at least like in a way that like we frame them in one shot.
Yeah,
And the way that like they all get up in like this synchronous way and look at them, that reads to me. I said before, it reads to me as J horror, and I think
the way that movement is communicated differently. Like, it's funny that we were just talking about Mickey 17 because I
yeah,
just saw an interview for anybody who doesn't know, the director of that film, Bong Joon-ho, is Korean, even though it's a movie. That particular movie is primarily non-Korean actors.
yeah. It's a Warner Brothers movie.
Starring
It's an American studio film
production.
that he made. Yeah.
Right. I did see an interview recently with Robert Pattinson talking about how when you start working on one of his movies, you just start moving how people move in a Bong Joon-ho movie. Like
That's so
obviously Robert
interesting.
Pattinson's been in a bunch of movies that are not Korean or are not directed by Bong Joon-ho, but his style of blocking melds to match this more Korean style of movement. I mean, he's even citing like, oh yeah, I was inspired by some like, anime, the way that, especially with the more like erratic version of myself in this movie, like the way that they can just kind of flip from stoic to angry on a dime is like
Yeah.
a big like Eastern thing, like an anime thing. And yeah, that style of movement is just it can be really funny. Like it's really effective for comedy, like when there's characters who are like dopes or like dumbasses,
Yeah.
which is a big like
Especially in that film,
Eastern
which is
trope.
all, yeah.
But in horror, I feel like it's like very effective. There's like a lot of really weird.
Yeah.
styles of movement and blocking.
I think something I get at a lot is that just like movement in general can be very scary. People's bodies moving either abnormally or like too perfectly can be used, very effectively.
This may be one more deep cut. Sorry, am I cutting you off?
No, go ahead.
But I think it relates. But speaking of Silent Hill, which is also like a Japanese product, there's like one scene that I saw as a kid that like lives in my brain rent free, and it is terrifying because of movement, like almost entirely because of movement. If you haven't seen or played the game or look up if you can find the scene where a character named Lisa starts to turn.
Oh,
There's a scene with a nurse
yeah.
who just like stumbles across a room, and that movement, it's movement combined with like the a kind of music you would least expect to be playing in that moment. That's stuff that you can only get with like foreign production, where they just have, it's just a different way of thinking. It's a different way of communicating an idea. I don't know. It's just like it's like nightmarish to me. It's a very effective translation of what a nightmare feels like.
Absolutely, yeah. Like that, at a certain point, it all turns into a nightmare, and it seems like the cult is generally preparing for something apocalyptic, and of course, like the crew just finds it as like common cult babble. They know they know where they are. They know what they're getting into, and they're just trying to tell the story and like kind of get the most out of it and leave without creating too much of a bother. Part of also just like the general creepiness aspect of this film is in like the use of children and like where the children come from, and that's like that's like probably the most like controversial aspect of the cult, and like why they're probably the main reason why they're choosing to do the documentary.
I think the context is that presenting their doc as if it is very respectful, but I feel like we're supposed to get the sense that it's
an expose.
It's an expose, yeah.
And they're trying to get him, but yeah, they're trying to be very non-biased, as what Malik even says that in the beginning, too, where he's like, it's a unbiased representation of what what your community is. During the interview with the father, too, like he does get very like pressing on certain issues about the cult. But before that happens, Lena, she starts to feel a little ill, and she walks out of the room, and she kind of just like goes around and explores. And remember, she's wearing the hidden button camera, so we get to see a little bit of everyone's point of view. And as she's walking around, she goes through the classroom. She kind of just like walks in. She's like, "Where's your teacher?" And then as she turns around, this woman is there, and she's kind of, I guess, like the father's number 2 in the cult. Like she's the secondary leader, but she's also responsible for a very important part of whatever's about to happen in the film. What's the line she says? She's like, "These children are great, but not as great as yours is about to be." And she's like, "What?" There is a main character. The main character isn't Malik. It's this other guy, Adam. And he's played by Fatri Albar. Yeah, as soon as Lena says that she's not feeling well, he goes to look after her. He has a camera too. He finds her in the classroom. Yeah, we get this weird, just like ambient tension starting to rise, and it starts to become apparent that the actual film crew is going to play a part in this upcoming ritual, it seems. What ends up happening is in Malik's interview with the father gets paused because a battery is about to die. And he goes back out to the car, replaces the battery, but there's also, and this is also set up at the beginning too, where there's he can see a monitor in the car. He has a view of all the cameras that are currently active. Lena's camera, Adam's camera, specifically, and the main camera, I guess, which they left in the room with the father. and the boom op guy, who's kind of just the most innocent bystander and everything because he's just the sound guy. And
yeah,
I love his
is this bias out? Is this bias?
Yeah, he's just the innocent he's just the innocent
it's just the handsome
the very handsome, smart sound man, which we all are.
He's not afraid of anything. Can I say one thing before you keep going that I think is effective about this movie?
Yeah,
another thing
absolutely
is that you called Adam the main character, but the first time you watch it, I don't think it is super apparent who the main character is.
Yeah, you think? Well, I think you thought like Malik maybe was because he's like he seems like he's the interviewer. He's like the voice. He has the most lines. Like he's the one doing all the interviewing.
He's pushing everything forward for the most part.
Yeah.
And he seems the most like even keeled,
definitely,
and like serious. But yeah, I just think that makes it like I love especially in a horror movie where you're supposed to be threatened by. You're supposed to feel tension surrounding like a character's fate, not knowing who is important and who isn't.
Yeah.
Can make things more tense.
That's kind of revealed of like what the main like substance of the whole film is though, because like as I said, Malik is getting like a view of all the cameras in action, and he happens upon this conversation between Lena and Adam. And they're talking about how she's pregnant with his child, but she is with Malik, which is this very like soapy kind of drama that is added to this. But it's not hokey or anything in that way. It's not like, it's not cheesy. This is like, because it's just, first off, there's a through line at the end that has to do with all of that. And it's delicious. And
delectable.
It's delectable. It just makes Safe Haven like the most layered segment we've seen so far in this franchise, because every other short always has like one thing going on and its main concept, and it explores that in a certain amount of time. Where this, it's like there's multiple things happening at once. And it's also like edited like that too. Like we see Malik and Lena, we see Malik's view of Lena and Adam, but we also see that intercut with the security cam footage and also main camera, which is filming the father and the boom op, the sound guy character. I forgot to mention this. The sound guy has a fucking hilarious line where he's just sitting with the father in silence, and he just speaks up and says, he's just like, so what do you think of organized religion? Having like nothing else to say to this guy.
He's like, now's my time, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, as all that's ramping up, a siren starts to go off. The father is just like, it's time. And he starts speaking into this intercom. And now his voice is projected all throughout the compound. He's sort of reciting this like psalm about like the end of days. As I said, this whole cult is preparing for this apocalyptic event, and now that event seems to be happening. After Adam and Lena's conversation, Lena kind of just like storms off, but she ends up exploring more of the compound. What she sees now is, the father is speaking in the intercom, and she passes by the classroom again, and they're all being handed out cups to drink. She immediately clocks what's going on, and she's like, no, you don't have to do this. And a guy just like closes the door slowly in front of her. They're all drinking the Kool-Aid, basically, is what this is supposed to be. But further on, she happens upon this room in the dark, and the lights keep flickering on and off. It's like the texture of this scene is perfect. It's beautiful. There's a woman that has these sheets covering her. She's in this room, this like hospital looking type room, where lights are blinking and there's surgical instruments around her, and they're all making sounds. No music, by the way. There's no music in this segment at all, and it's better for it. She lets go of the covers, and this woman just starts screaming, and she's in this like birthing pose, and she's like all mangled. It's gnarly. So yeah, everything's ramping up really quickly, and the father's getting to the end of his whole spiel. He undoes his shirt. He's basically carved into himself these symbols with the box cutter that was foreshadowed before. And the guy in the room is still there, and he's like, what the fuck? What's happening? And he warned him about interrupting him while his speech is happening. Now that he's like freaking out, the father just completely pounces on him and attacks him and slits his throat with the box cutter. As he's like squirting out all this blood, the father just like runs his like bloody hands through his hair, and it's almost like he's relieved.
It's so gnarly. Like the camera, while that's happening, is like it's like shaking. It's like like you can feel, almost like it's reflecting the intensity of the cut. Like
it's like his struggle, you know.
But it comes across almost like a like in a samurai film or something, like a Akira Kurosawa-esque, where you get that slice of the sword, and then like a gush of blood.
Yeah, like it's a machine shooting blood.
Yeah,
like in Sanjuro style.
It's so gnarly. Yeah, this is where everything like just fucking turns, and it's like the tip of the iceberg. It's nothing. It's fucking nothing yet.
It's nothing yet. But yeah, this action starts to ramp up, and the scene is done so well too, where Lena is there. There are these footsteps approaching Lena, and they're like incredibly coordinated, approaching her through this like dark hallway. So she starts being dragged off by these women. After this segment ramps up the energy with an unbelievable amount of gas, because this is where Malik now comes into play, and he rushes in back into the compound to try to save everyone. He comes into the main room, and what he sees is the most iconic shot of the entire film, of the entire segment, this entire film, maybe of the entire franchise. All of these men are standing in this room, almost in a circle, and they all shoot themselves in the head.
And they emit a prayer.
They emit a prayer, yeah.
They do it. Amen.
They go, amen. Pff, and they shoot themselves. This is, it's insane. After this happens, there's this other guy that comes running in. He doesn't want to kill himself, but he gets shot with a shotgun, and then tries to shoot Malik as well. But this is so sick, because he dodges the first shot, and then he sees a trash can. He throws it at him. This scene right here is the most reminiscent of like what the general like pace and movement is like in the Raid films. Like, just like the escalation of action and like seeing objects and throwing them at people, like just like the desperation and movement and everything. That is the most reminiscent of the Raid, and also where this movie gets into like survival horror territory.
Yeah, and following immediately after that insane moment of all those people shooting themselves in the head, it's like even more ridiculous, because you barely had a second to breathe from that before the guy rushes in and gets shot, and then you're in this shotgun fight.
Yeah, it's like he had no moment to process what he just saw, and then all of a sudden, like, all right, time to take action. Like, fuck, what do I do? Yeah. Adam then appears back, and he happens upon the room that Malik was just in, and the guy with the shotgun is now killing the rest of the guys that, execution style, that refuse to kill themselves. And Malik is the last one. Before he's about to die, he's like, "Fine, Lena." And he, like, to Adam, this is all his fault. He sees Malik get his head blown off. The guy that he wronged by sleeping with his wife. Now he has this guilt to him now. But the guy that shoots him, the guy that shoots Malik, the guy with the shotgun, after he shoots Malik, is like, "It was a pleasure to meet you, sir," and he blows his own head off.
Yeah. You're like, what the hell?
But yeah. So yeah, Lena's being abducted, and Adam is following her. He grabs like a pole, and this is really where it's like, yeah, this is a survival horror game.
Yeah, now he's got
a weapon. Yeah, the starting weapon.
Shitty piece of wood.
Yeah.
The visual of, I distinctly remember this visual watching this with a friend of mine, and the hard cut to Lena's POV of being surrounded and carried by these women who are all just like shrieking.
Yeah, and the father is around her. Also, he's singing and my friend skipping.
Immediately was just like, "This is my nightmare." The
level of just like sound that is being like displayed right now. It's like this shrieking and then singing and siren. God, it's chaos. It's an apocalyptic atmosphere. So yeah, they cart Lena into this room and they close the doors. Adam is just like, he's kind of just too cowardly to do anything. He slowly approaches, but I love this shot of him in the security cam, just like around the corner, just like not committing to doing anything.
Yeah. I can't find it in himself.
He can't find it in himself.
Make the move.
Yeah, but then he grabs the crowbar. That's when he decides to become Gordon Freeman. And as he approaches the room, it just explodes. There's this, first off, yeah, it's like a CGI explosion, but nothing can be like distracting about the little bits of CGI that are being used. There's also another case. There's another case in a sec, but so Adam gets knocked back, and on the ceiling is this like, he sees this like creature crawling by, which is fun. Like that's the thing that just like happens and never really comes back. But like, yeah, it's just this like, and this other thing, and another thing happens too.
He sees a lot.
He sees a lot of stuff. This isn't just like one thing happening. It all seems like all part of this like main. It all seems part of this apocalyptic event. After this, he stands up and the father approaches him. He's just in his like underwear, and he's all like caked in blood. And he stands there and he just says, he has this like, he's just like laughing, and he looks so happy, and he just says, "It is fulfilled," and he explodes into a pile of organs. And
this is my most iconic shot, is him standing in that doorway covered in blood.
Yeah, I might use that for the album art. After this happens, Adam rushes into the room. We also, this is the final time we see the POV of Lena, who still has, she's still recording everything. She still has this camera. There's all these like screaming nurses surrounding her and holding on to her super tight. And they all have like, they're all like ghoulish and have like milky white eyes. They're completely changed.
They're pale. They're black. Black mouths.
Black mouths, yeah. Black maws. And they're all shrieking. And Adam runs into the room and like he has to like tear them off of her. They're gripped onto her so tight, like when he pulls them off, like part of her flesh also comes off. The flesh of her limbs also comes off with her. He beats one with a crowbar, just like caves her head in. He approaches Lena, and Lena's just like, "Get it out of me, get it out of me!" And he's like, "What?" And he's like, he lifts up her shirt now, and there is something crawling around inside of her. This is done with CG, but I promise you, what comes in just a sec here, just like totally makes up for it, because the practical effect they're about to show you is fucking insane.
Yeah, it's the word of a madman.
It is batshit insane what happens right here, because she's writhing in pain, and this projectile just shoots out of her stomach. Adam is just completely in shock. And this fucking demon just crawls out of her womb. It looks a little like silly with with her stomach flaps like looking like cardboard a bit, but who fucking cares? This is unfucking believable. Because
I feel like it's almost supposed to be a little silly.
It's supposed to.
The effect,
also, like, this monster, like this demon, Baphomet-looking monster, is a guy in a suit, and it fucking rules.
It's so awesome.
It's so sick.
Yeah, it's just coated in blood. There's like fucking steam rising from, I think, her belly. I don't even know. Like,
he's being lit by something. Like, the demon is being lit by something. Like, he's about to give a grand entrance.
Yeah, and the effect is like, they do this on purpose with the way they frame it too. It's a full grown, like 10-foot tall beast coming out of her. It looks like it's coming out of like a portal. Like, it looks like it's
yeah, there's a
like
metaphysical thing. I mean, obviously, like, she couldn't have this whole thing in her belly. Yes, but it also is like there is a magical aspect to it too.
Yeah.
Like, it's coming out of her stomach, but it's also rising from hell.
Yeah, it's like being summoned, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, so Adam tries to run away, and this rules. Because, yeah, he's running away, and this is where he tries to... This is where we kind of recognize, like, some of the rooms and everything. Like, this is where, like, oh yeah, we have a mental map in our heads of like what the compound looks like. So, okay, he has to go down this hallway, then he has to go through the classroom. This is where he sees all the children dead. But then they start to rise again as these ghouls, and they try to trap him. They try to grab onto him, but he escapes. And as he's leaving the room, he starts to see the demon in all of its form, just like quickly pans to it. And the demon like swats some guy away, and he like flies through the air,
chucks his ass.
Just completely like it's Sauron at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, like with his mace, like just flailing guys away.
He's basically like communicating, "Don't let this thing touch you."
Yeah, you will be minced.
Fuck you up immediately.
But that's not the only thing he has to worry about, because he turns a corner and zombie ghouls, possessed men of the people that shot themselves. Everyone in the compound that killed themselves are all rising now. And it's just like, okay, yeah, demons chasing me, but also now this. Oh my God. It just has fucking everything. And just like, what, like, I like the feeling of me watching this. It's like I'm like I don't know how you don't watch this and you're not like vibrating. It's so fucking exhilarating.
It's so joyous.
Like, it's so joyous.
It's reveling in it. It's so fucking
horror
good.
Doesn't always have to scare you. Now there's freaky shit in this segment, but it's also like so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like effortlessly cool. Not cool as in like a trying to be cool sort of way, but like cool as in like the experience is like entrapping you.
I think your brain is trying to keep up with what it's even seeing.
Exactly. Like, yeah, when it quick pans to the guy getting fucked up by the demon, that happens in like a split second. But it's so much happening in such a split second that like your brain is still processing what happened, and it's like, also here's zombies.
And this is where you get like the snippets of like, okay, you're going back in reverse order through all these like rooms that you saw when they were normal, and here's all the children that are now zombies and their teacher up front. I think, is he playing an instrument even though he's a zombie? I think that might be right.
Yeah, he was playing guitar before. He's playing it now, yeah.
And then, you know, he looks in one room and there's two people fucking.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, he turns the corner into one room and There's just two people fucking like doggy style, and there's like blood squirting everywhere.
Blood flying everywhere with every pump.
Yeah.
And
that's the most like VHS energy I get in this segment.
Yeah. Well, and it like kind of fits in a silly way with like the satanic imagery.
It does,
like,
yeah. It works in it works in the context of what's going on. There's so much like sound happening too, because the siren's still going off, and also you hear the roars of the demon. The roars of the demon, it reminded me of like in Zelda Ocarina of Time, whenever one of the statue enemies came alive, and it did like a type of sound and like started attacking.
I know what you're talking about.
That's like almost exactly the same sound effect as the demon here. But yeah, he keeps roaring throughout the whole chase sequence, and Adam just like tries to just push his way through all of the zombies. Funny that like this segment uses zombies and the last segment also had zombies, but like they were completely
just put them together too.
Yeah, put them together, but also like they're completely different things.
Yeah,
like, they feel like completely different things. Like the last segment had like classic zombies. These are like this is like that was like an infection zombie. This is like a magic zombie. Like a white almost.
Yeah, they're very much still like, I mean, they're doing things that aren't zombie undead like. They're doing like weird versions of their human routines.
Yeah. They also make like roaring sounds too, like the demon does. And especially like when we get to the next, when we get further on, like we see Malik's body now resurrected. And I think we also saw the sound guy too. He was resurrected as well. But yeah, then we see Malik and his like just like mangled skull that was blown off by the shotgun. Yeah, he starts to make those like roaring sounds too, on top of everything. But he gets away from him, and he heads up the stairs. He escapes the compound, gets into the car, starts to drive away, but the beast is still like on his tail, and just knocks over the car. Charges into it, knocks it over like down a hill. So Adam's fucked up, and the last scene we see, Adam finds the camera. It's filming still. He tries to crawl out of the car, but on top of it is this demon creature, fully practical, man in a suit, but looks awesome. It looks over at him and calls him Papa.
Papa.
The last image we see is Adam looking into the camera in pure fucking horror, and he starts just like drooling, and snot comes out of his nose. It's reminiscent of almost like an extreme version of what happens of that iconic Blair Witch Project scene. But like, this is so disgusting. Where that was like pure dread. This is like just terror.
Madness.
It's just like, pure madness. Where that was like pure dread, this was madness. That's the end of the segment.
I fucking love this shot too, because it's like all in one. It's his face, the camera's underneath him. You can see the demon on top of the car.
Yeah,
and then
it's perfectly framed.
He starts losing it, and he's laughing. Actually, like he starts.
Yeah, he's
laughing from how, like, while his brain is breaking.
Just the the absurdity of it all.
And then there's also the little detail of like the demon sprouts wings.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, the demon sprouts wings.
On floof, like these huge black bat wings. He's just like laughing at the absurdity of it all, as like this drool and blood and spit comes out of his mouth and out of his nose. It honestly gave me like, I was like, I got big Evil Dead energy from that moment too.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Like that is such a like ending for the main character in Evil Dead. To just like
it's like a karmatic
stuck in this shittier situation.
It's stuck in a shitty situation. It's kind of like, it's so funny to think about too. Like it's kind of karmatic It is like he did commit a sin and paid for it. But like this is how it's done.
It's so unbalanced.
It's so unbalanced.
Extreme. It's like
everyone gets punished.
You got her pregnant, and it was Baphomet.
You got pregnant. It was Baphomet, and now you have to take care of you have to take care of him. Oh my God, this was such an experience, and just like the movement of it all, how well it goes down, and how like amped up you feel while watching this, you'll never forget it. So VHS, the franchise, will reach its own heights, but this is the highest point for me. There are even, I would say, better films than VHS 2 in this franchise, but they don't have this segment in them. It's totally its own thing.
This is this is to me the peak in terms of individual segments.
Yeah.
I don't think anything has ever beaten this.
Nothing has beaten this. Nothing. I can't see anything beating this.
I do think that Timo one, funny enough, the other one that Timo...
Yeah, the other one he did comes a little close, but like also, it just... This one's different. Like it's just a whole other thing. Different. It's the time of it. Yeah, like the thing about the ending is like it does all this like crazy batshit insane shit, and then ends on this note where it's like a little funny.
Yes, yeah.
It's a little goofy and a little funny, and it's like yeah.
It's a perfect ending.
It's a perfect ending.
It's too much to wrap up. Like it's too much to. So much happens and unspools that all that's left is to laugh at it.
Yeah, all that's left is to laugh at the madness. And that's one of my
favorite horror things, honestly, ever.
That's one of the best things about horror. Horror doesn't always have to scare you. Horror can be funny.
No.
Horror can be funny. It could be exhilarating. It could be like, you could just fucking love it. Like it doesn't have to be this like pure, terrifying experience. Although that's always, that's always like a huge plus. It's not all it does. And this segment is just like the perfect encapsulation of all of that. Like everything I love about horror can kind of be summed up into this segment, which is why I think it sticks with me so much,
It's like it's almost like there's a release at the end. Like there's
a release. That's exactly what it feels like. Because that's the important thing too. It's like it has.
It's just so goofy, that fucking thing saying "Papa."
But yeah, it's so but like it rocks. It rocks, and it's so batshit insane. And it's really it makes me think like it's really important for every one of these shorts to have a through line. Like this is one of the few shorts that feels like it has like a thesis and follows through on it. Whereas other ones just kind of like they show you the concept and then just kind of like ramps up at the end and then ends abruptly, where this is like so fully fleshed out and has time to tackle all of these things and feel like, there's no missed time.
It manages to touch on multiple characters. Everybody gets an ending.
Everyone gets a happy ending.
Everyone gets a happy ending. Everybody got what they want.
Everyone got what they wanted, ultimately.
Especially Malik.
Especially Baphomet.
Baphomet got a daddy.
He really found his true family. Safe Haven's really a found family picture. Really tackles it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It really brings a tear to your eye. It does.
I watch it every Christmas.
I watch it every Easter. It's a really spiritual film.
Sacrilegious thing.